First, you want to open the Microsoft Teams, the desktop version, and then navigate to the Teams tab, which shows you the various teams of which you're a member or which you formed yourself. Next, click on the button, which for me is on the upper right, saying Join or Create Team, and go to Create Team. And here you have an option to create one of 4 different types of teams. For the purposes of a OneNote class notebook, we want to create a class team. So click on Class. Next, it will ask you to give a name to the team. So give it a name that makes some sense to you. You can write a description if you want, but it's optional, so you don't need to do it. Next, it creates the team, and the next thing it's going to ask you to do is to enroll students by email address. So you'll need the email addresses of your students, and what you do is just begin by typing the first part of the email address, and then you'll be able to see the email addresses, and you can enroll the various people that are in your team. So I'm going to continue doing that now just by adding the first part of the email address, and there we go. And so these are the 3 persons who are in my 4BSc group. So I'm going to add those people, and then I hit close. I don't need to add an extra teacher because it's just me that's going to supervise the projects. The next thing you can do is either directly upload class materials, but for now the more important thing is to set up the class notebook. So click Set Up Class Notebook, and you're going to get asked some questions at this point. So set up one class notebook, and for you want to open a blank notebook. Here it's going to tell you what the various parts that you're going to get are. A collaboration space, anything that's contained within the collaboration space, can be read and edited by both the staff member and the students. The content library is like a library. It's a space in which staff members can put material and edit material. Students can only view the content. A teacher-only section is where you can keep files or information that you don't want to distribute to the students. And finally, the student notebooks, and we'll look at how we set these up in a minute. Student notebooks can be edited by students and contain material that students put in, but they can also be viewed and edited by the staff members. So they represent also a kind of collaboration space. This is the default setup. Here, the next question they're asking is what kind of sections do you want in the student notebook, and the pre-made sections are handouts, class notes, homework and quizzes. You can remove those sections and put in anything that you want. So for example, you might want to put in a section which is for protocols, so each student will have a section where they can either store or put in protocols. You may want to have a section which is their lab daybook, where they record what it is that they do in the lab. Maybe you're going to add a section which is on their writing or whatever. These can all be changed at a later point anyway. So now I'm going to hit the Create button, and it's going to get the class notebook ready. Now, depending on how busy the campus servers are, this can take a while. It could take perhaps a few minutes, or even on some occasions might take up to an hour or 2. So if you get a stalling notice like this, the best thing to do is maybe just leave it. You can go away and do something else, and when you return, you can take a look at the structure of the class notebook, which we'll do on the next video. So I waited a minute or 2, and now the 4BSc 2021 notebook that I've established is now available within my Microsoft Teams. And we can see here what the structure of the notebook looks like. The notebook is based on a kind of a tabbed format, where each tab can contain subsections or pages. So here we look on the Welcome tab. There are 2 pages. One here, Welcome to Class Notebook, and the second is an FAQ on how to use class notebooks. My broadband is slow, so the page won't load very quickly, but it'll load much faster for you. And I would recommend leaving that welcome space, welcome tab. I would recommend leaving that so that the students can work through it. You may want to add some additional stuff yourself to either of these 2 pages. The business end of the notebook are here. First, the collaboration space. This is a space in which documents or writing or text or images that are placed in the collaboration space can be edited by anybody. That's any of the students who have access to the notebook, or by the staff member. So it is generally a space in which you can work collaboratively to solve problems, produce a piece of writing or whatever. there's a description of how to use the collaboration space, getting started with the collaboration space in the using the collaboration space section or tab. The content library is, from a student perspective, a read-only space. Here's some information on it. Staff members can place documents in the content library. If these are editable documents, the staff member can continue to edit those documents, but students can only see a read-only copy of the document. They can, however, copy the documents from the content library, and they can copy them into their own spaces, which we'll see in a moment. The teacher-only section is a section that I don't really use. All it is a section of the notebook which only you can access. The students can't see, under any circumstances, can't see the section that you have kept your materials in. And then finally, you'll see here my 3 students each have a section in the notebook. And if I expand any one of the students here, what I'll see is that the notebook sections that I specified should be part of the student notebook, as we'll see in a second, are part of each of the individual notebooks. So Quiva Flynn now has a notebook in which there's a section called Writing, a section called Protocols, and a section called Lab Daybook. If, for example, we go to Protocols, she can, within the Protocols, she can add a page whenever she wants to. She can edit the pages that are in there. But also, I can distribute pages either to all of the students to their protocol section or to an individual student to their protocol section. So if I wanted to distribute a protocol about, for example, drawing a graph or doing a PCR experiment, I can take the protocol from my own files. I can either drop it into the content library where all the students can access it, or I could drop it into the protocols page of any one of the 3 students. The last thing to note here is that we're still working within the Microsoft Teams environment. So at the top of the page you can see here are the remainder of the tabs that are available within Teams. The version of the class notebook that's running within Teams isn't the full featured version. It's a somewhat crippled version of the class notebook. So in order to use all the features of class notebook, what you need to do is launch the class notebook on the desktop app, and I'll discuss how to do that in a later video.